So here we are with Lori Cooper, who is the District Executive Director of Community Support Services in the Southeast District of VON Canada. Southeast District comprises of what area specifically, or what cities, Lori?
Well, geographically, it's Ontario. It's a Durham region to the west, and then east to the greater Kingston area, and North Hastings County, Prince Edward County, and Peterborough. So Peterborough, Victoria, Haliburton County. In terms of VON sites, it's the Peterborough, Victoria, Haliburton site, Durham region, Hastings, Northumberland, Prince Edward, and Greater Kingston.
So for the people who aren't that familiar with Ontario that might be viewing this video, it would be the area just east of Toronto over toward, Kingston. Okay, great, thank you. So Lori, we're interested in hearing what your reaction was when you first read the results of the engagement assessment survey. What kind of thinking went through your mind when you saw those results?
Well, I think first looking at them, just thought that it was a really, rich set of data that went into a lot of detail. And, I thought that the results for our sites were somewhat in line with the national results and the regional results. Given the organizational structure in our area, I'm responsible for community support services, which tends to be sort of a smaller grouping of staff. Sort of wondered, maybe it's perfectly reflective of those staff as well, or are there different issues sort of in the different programs? So and I was fairly new in this role at that point, so did use some of the tools from the Take Action Solution website to get some feedback from the managers to begin with, about their thoughts on how things were going. And in fact, I think that's the name of the tool. What do you think? What do you think? Sort of to get their opinions, and that was as helpful to get their impressions of how things were going with the folks that they supervise, and also a chance for me to build that trust between myself and the managers who were reporting to me now that we were going to be working through this together. So.
Okay. So what kind of things did they say?
Well, they did say things, they did agree. One of the things that came out on the Take Action Solution website is around staff, wishing they would have a little bit more face-to-face time with managers, feeling fully supported by their managers. And maybe that was a bit of a surprise to me that the staff felt that was very much the same in community support as in home care. We think in terms of home care, the staff are so geographically scattered, I think much more so than in community support. But the programs in community support are growing and also have demands on them that managers are also in community support feeling they're not giving them time, so that face-to-face time with the people that they're supporting. So that was a learning.
And then did you take any action out of that learning? Did you implement anything or start, any kind of cool activities as a result of that information?
We did. So we did start to plan sort of an all-staff education day for community support services, and I think that somewhat sprung out of those conversations. And I also talked to managers about using some of the tools in the Take Action Solution in preparation for the performance development plans. So the manager competencies around communication to get that dialogue going between the managers and coordinators, and so that they could get that direct feedback from their folks as to how they could open up those lines of communication.
So knowing what you know now and watching what has gone on, were there any big surprises or any learning outcomes that kind of hit you between the eyes that, have become standard practice, or things that you do now that you didn't do before that, you can share with anybody that might be looking or listening to this video?
Well, I know myself, with my managers, I did implement sort of, we tried to do it sort of every 2-week phone calls, even if it's not face-to-face, because I also, have managers who are within other sites, so that we are actually slowing down and taking the time to just have, might not be about an issue, we talk when there's an issue, so just having some time to talk, just to see how how things are going. It really helps me to know what some emerging issues might be in the programs. And I know that the managers have, through the feedback from their staff, have adopted some similar practices as well.
Okay, thank you. Of all of the other things that you know about the Take Action Solutions website, is there any other activity that you plan to undertake?
Any particular tool that I plan to undertake?
Mm-hmm.
No, but not right off the top of my head. But I would say though that in general, how I plan to use the tools is to make more meaningful the time that we have with staff one-to-one. I mean, an open door policy is great, and I think I was always pretty successful with that in having that open door policy. But when you're really busy and it's hard to be attentive to what's happening right in front of you across the desk, what somebody's telling you, is just sort of sometimes taking the time to, and be honest and say, we're not sure that we're going to be able to work through this particular concern or this particular issue, but we know we have those resources, because I find that the Take Action Solutions tools, they're not always rocket science, but it can formulate your thinking. You have an issue or an opportunity to work with a staff person, and it's sort of weighing on the back of your mind, but if you can just sit down and use them to focus your thoughts and work through some actions. So when folks are coming through the door to talk about something that's concerning them or an issue, just sort of relying on those sometimes rather than trying to rush through to sort of complete it and check it off the list that it's great, somebody's come through the door, we've worked through the issue. Sometimes you need to take the time and reflect on it, and then those tools can be very helpful.
Thank you very much. That's really great. Perfect.